Again, to God is the goal. This is our sessions on leadership. And in two of the other sessions, we talked about the importance of culture, which really is everything. And then we also talked about the importance of knowing the context, demographically, where you're leading from, and even emotionally, where you're leading from. Today, we want to talk about climate. It's important for every leader to know the climate of their organization and the climate of their team. Yes, you must know how to set the temperature. You must also know who can change the temperature. And you must be able to recognize the temperature of your organization and your climate. There could be things that are happening in the world that may be affecting how productive people are. There may be things that are happening in their own personal lives and just with them that can kind of cause the climate or the mood to shift. And you must know how to navigate those terrains, but more importantly, you have to lead from a space of one who can actually control the climate. And set the temperature for it. So let's talk about a few things that we can do today. Okay, the first thing that I feel that a leader must do when it comes to climate, you have to be a good listener. You have to be able to listen and observe. You have to be able to listen to your team. And even when you ask questions, don't just wait for the response so you can respond, but really listen and effectively communicate that you hear what your teammates are saying. So you also have to watch for patterns. Know who is going to speak, kind of know what their tendencies are. This is going to take some discernment and some time of being around people rather, and also knowing who can shift the temperature, who is more prone to negativity, who is more prone to positivity. Know these things about your team because all of that affects the climate, which in tune can affect the culture. Okay. Uh, Also, I feel that the leader must model the tone in their speech that they desire to receive. It's one thing to become frustrated, and when you lead organizations, everything does not happen the way you see fit. You can make a strategic plan, but sometimes things go awry. You can plan, but you have to be flexible to change those plans. And sometimes the personal emotions get in the way. Well, as a leader, you have to operate with self control. You cannot fly off the handle. You have to be the one that is steady. Because remember, you're setting the climate of the organization. So you have to model that tone and understand the approach. This goes back to, I shouldn't say this leads into another thing that you can do: encourage constructive feedback, even feedback about you. See how you are perceived, see how you come across in your speech, and then work, even if it's not your intention, work on those things. You have to create a safe space for people to be able to share. This is the one thing that I've tried to do with our team. Every time we meet in regards to any initiative, we always ask these four questions. What's working, which is how do we win? What's stuck? What do we need to abandon? And what do we need, or what could we do new? And we go through that exercise. And what that does is create a space where everybody's opinion and everybody's ideas and thoughts are valued. Because we are working in a collective environment. Even if I know as the leader, I may have more influence on the decision, you still want to hear because people see what you don't. And everyone has gifts and certain areas of expertise, and you want to be able to hear from those things. So you have to create a space for constructive feedback. Um, Perhaps the hardest part about making sure the climate is the best it could be is being unafraid to address negative speech, rhetoric, and tone. There are moments where you have to pull team members aside, maybe have a one on one. That's what I recommend with them, as opposed to addressing it in front of everybody, unless it's just really outlandish and you have to. But in most instances, people want to feel that they're heard and they want to know that it's a safe space as well. And you want to address that negativity, but you want to do it in a way where it doesn't kill the morale of that person or embarrass them. Even if they embarrass themselves with the response, pull them to the side. Have the respect, to honor them with your approach, and prayerfully that will be reciprocated. But you don't just want to get in the habit of accusing people and putting them in situations that make them feel uncomfortable in front of people. That's just not a healthy way of doing that. And if you create a culture of that, that's what they're going to do with everyone else, and that's going to be the climate. Okay. Also, you need to be able to promote positivity. Look, I know that certain things go wrong, but if you want a good climate, let's be positive. Let's speak about, again, what is going right. And I oftentimes feel that if you talk more about what's going right, you can better handle the things that's not going as well as you would like them to be. I've noticed that there is a tendency to always point at the weaknesses and what's going wrong to the point where you miss what you're actually accomplishing and the things you set out to do. So to promote this, celebrate your wins, no matter how big or how small. Celebrate your wins, but practice empathy as well. Even when something goes wrong, try to see the good that can come out of it and move forward, and be solution based and encourage optimism. Let's be optimistic. It's good to be optimistic as a leader because you have to lean on hope, even as you deal with the reality. Now, let me say this. Optimism is not a neglect of reality. Optimism is saying, given the reality that we have, we know that there can be changes and transition, and this does not have to be this way. So it's not a neglect or a disregard for things that may not be going well, but what it is saying, we're going to work to get towards a solution where things can go well. And the last thing I'll say is be flexible. Organizations change, teams change, the way things happen change. Just look at the natural progression of where we are in the world today. I mean, it's 2024. Just imagine where we would be in 2012 when we thought technology was wonderful. Even in 2008 with the iPhone, when that came out. Well, look what has happened. Look how everything has changed in the span of 15 years. And every year it's continuing to shift. So we have to be cognizant of that. And certainly you must be cognizant of that on your team. You may not be able to do things the way you once done them because the climate is different. You may have to look at the makeup of your team to see how you can move forward. And that's just the nature of being a leader. And I do know that you all understand that. So there are just some few things about climate. Must know the climate of your team. You must be able to discern who is on your team, what their gifts are, the places where they may need some encouragement and help, because that will create the safe environment and create a wonderful climate, which will again affect the culture, because that will help create an inspiring culture if you have a healthy climate. So that's just one thing that we can talk about here as we look about and talk about climates. The next thing we'll do is speak to character. Now, I feel that character is the most important. I really do, especially as a leader. And of course, all these things affect culture. Okay. So listen, I hope that you have enjoyed this. Please click the like button. Please click the subscribe button. If you know leaders or that could use this information, please share and do that as well. And continue to follow on all our social media outlets, Taft Quincey Heatley. And let's keep encouraging one another. Know that God is the goal and that all things are possible with God. I'll see you the next time when we speak about character. Take care.